Our research question for this project was why people say low voter turnout is a problem but then do not vote themselves. Our research process for this study started off by sorting data over how much people viewed voter turnout as an issue. To look at this, we asked who did not vote in the general election and does not plan to vote in the upcoming election. We looked at what their reasons for not voting were, and lastly, we compared the reasons for not voting within each score of 0 through 5. Slide 3 looks at the total percentage of people who voted within each different score of 0 through 5. We included a side-by-side comparison between the primary and general election and found that with the exception of choice 1, that more people voted in the general than the primary. Additionally, there does not seem to be a relationship between someone's likelihood to vote and their score on the importance of voter turnout.
So, is voter turnout really a problem? Of 140 people interviewed in a survey, 104 people said low voter turnout was at least slightly problematic. However, 35 of those people did not vote at all. 24 only voted in one of the two 2016 elections. Of these 59 people, only 8 were not old enough and 5 weren't registered. We found that a number of people who said this was a problem gave some hypocritical reasons, saying low turnout leads to misrepresentation, low turnout is embarrassing, they weren't aware, or the US is technically an oligarchy. Of all these people who didn't vote, 2 forgot to vote, and 6 weren't interested or didn't care. Others gave responses such as, certain elections don't matter, I hated all the candidates, and voting is too much of a hassle. All interesting responses from people who say voter turnout is problematic. Contrary to our expectations, those who scored 5 were the least interested of all the groups. For both the general and the upcoming midterm, lack of interest is far more prevalent than inconvenience and poor candidates, which were the second and third most common reasons. The 4s also disapproved of the candidates and show fairly little interest, especially in the upcoming midterm. Unlike the 5s, 1/4 of them believe that individual votes do not matter in the general, despite such a tight election. Looking at the 3s confirms our observation that the general election candidates were unpopular, and even students who believe that low voter turnout is an issue are not interested in elections. Significant lack of information and the belief that midterms do not matter are continuing trends. Going into the 2s, inconvenience and insignificance of midterms both increase drastically. Interest increases from the previous group, but still is a significant reason for the midterm. The 1s address the issue of being informed about the midterm, something that the 2s and 3s were not concerned about. Inconvenience of the midterm grows for the 1s, while disapproval and lack of interest remain relatively constant. Inconvenience is most common among the 0s, who also believe that midterms don't matter.
All of the reasons for not voting related in some way to the rational choice model of voting. Lack of interest in politics relates to the D variable, indicating these people receive fewer benefits from the act of voting independent of the outcome. Not liking the available candidates relates to the B variable, since it means they thought that the candidates would not be beneficial to them if elected. Answers relating to the difficulty of voting related to the C variable, while fears that one's vote didn't matter impacted the P variable. The primary conclusion we can draw from this data is that there is no particular reason given that explains why people didn't vote, despite considering low voter turnout to be a significant issue. Moreover, the reasons for not voting appear to be more or less consistent across all, though a larger sample size would help confirm this. Some explanations that played a significant role in explaining why people did not vote included a lack of interest in the election specifically and politics in general, not liking any candidates for office, and the difficulty of voting.